Guys, I don't think I have ever cried this much during This Is Us. I don't at all. And number one, God, it was such an amazing episode. We're going to talk all about it and all about our favorite of the trio. Number one, maybe. We'll talk about it. Just stay tuned.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Have you heard about the lonesome loser?
I feel like I'm the episode of Twilight Zone.
Right?
Possessed my body.
Oh my God.
I tried really hard to say the big three and a trio, and it became the trio in the opening, guys. So you probably caught on. It was a rough night for me.
It's all that crying, Candace. It's all that
Oh
crying.
my God.
I don't think I've cried that much during this season.
You
at
haven't.
all.
You really have outdone yourself.
I'll agree.
I just sobbed the whole episode. What is up, guys? Thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to try to keep it solid through this whole thing, but there's no promises.
No promises. None.
None whatsoever. My name is Candace Cruz. Thank you so much for joining us. You can find me on all of my social media at Candace R. Cruz, and I'm joined by my ever-understanding co-host.
Understanding my rear end. The least understanding person is Keith.
I can't catch a break. Hey everybody, I am Keith Andre. You can follow me everywhere on social media at Keith_Andre, and I'm more understanding than Lena likes to let on.
Oh, I saw that eye.
Yeah, she's always picking on me.
Oh, there's some shade going down tonight.
It's all in fun.
He's picking on us. First it was me last week, then it's Candace this week.
Oh my God.
I said,
Listen, Candace, if you start crying, just use Keith's shirt. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yes,
Fine.
this is perfect
I'll
Kleenex
pick it.
tonight.
Oh, anyways, I thought we were
Oh yeah,
introducing
we're
ourselves.
Lena. Lena,
Yeah.
go ahead, introduce yourself, babe.
I'm Lena Nori, and I'm extremely understanding, and I do love Keith. It's all jokes. Because he's picking on Candace today, so he's on my team today. But yeah, you can find me all over the internet at Lena Nori. And oh my God, Candace cried so much this episode.
Someone literally in the studio brought me Kleenexes.
Yeah.
It was
And just
different
plop them
sandwiches.
down. Just plop them down.
Dude, it wasn't Kleenex. He brought you like extra strength paper towels, like extra durable.
It absorbs. It works.
Bronny.
It did, and no mascara ran. So that's a kudos to my mascara brand, so thank you.
And before we jump in, I'm Erica Shannon, and you can find me on Twitter at Miss Airy Baby. I did want to give some shout outs to people that are already in the chat.
Yes, I love it.
We love the
Heavy.
Yes.
So hi to everybody. Aaliyah, Melanie. I saw a Chad in here. Jazz is here.
All right, guys.
They got the conversation going.
Guys,
Yes.
So we're going to join it.
I did not expect, going into the 3 different episodes about all of them, to cry this much for
Get
Kevin.
out of here. Yes, you did.
I did not expect
Not for
to cry.
Kevin.
I didn't expect to
No.
cry for Kevin. I expected to cry for Kate, and I expected to cry for Randall. I expected to be surprised for Kevin, but not cry as much as I did.
Well, where
Yeah.
y'all were going last week, you were feeling sympathetic towards Kevin, so
Yeah, but
they
not
were
enough
prepping
to-
you.
Yeah, but not enough to make me cry that much.
Can I tell you guys, I have a guilty conscience. I just want to throw it out there.
You keep saying that.
I
That we
know.
all wanted Kevin to have his breakdown, and we all said she was going to have a miscarriage.
Guess what? We got our wishes, unfortunately.
Who wish?
We didn't wish.
We didn't wish for that.
We just expected those things
Yeah.
to happen.
Here we go. Thank you.
They hit
That was
us hard
better.
this episode, though. That was not fair.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we were like 1, 2, 3.
it was a lot. I feel like for me though, I couldn't really I'm not like emotionally like attached
Plus.
or invested with Kevin. So for a lot of the episode, I just felt like I was kind of like just consuming it, but I wasn't super. I don't know if it was because of Kevin or if it was because Candace was taking all the tears. But I really couldn't connect until the end. But it's just like I feel so bad for him because even going into like the next episode, it's like there's never a moment where we just have like Kevin to have this space and to get like the help that he needs.
Please tell me you had a breakdown when he had a breakdown, because if you did not cry.
Oh no, when he had the breakdown, I was like, okay, this is it. Like I was hearing a bunch of social media, you know, they've already watched on the East Coast, like about how talented he was and how good of acting he did, and I feel that we finally got to see Justin shine.
Can I tell you something?
What?
The reason that I gasped is because I feel the same way as you.
Okay.
Like the
see?
whole episode, I was just like, all right, this is like sad, but it's not really
it's not
pulling me
in.
until that last scene. That last scene really did get me.
His monologue was unbelievable.
Oh my God.
Because, okay, in the beginning of the episode, Keith and I were looking at each other. He's in this, like, penthouse suite, popping pills, drinking. We're like,
beer.
oh, poor guy with his view. Like, his life, you know, is so hard. But that's exactly, when he broke down his life, is what he was saying. He's like, no matter how much I've tried to sabotage my life and I don't think that I deserve it, it just keeps coming. I keep getting everything right back. I thought that monologue was so powerful.
Which one, on the football field? Or
The one on the
last
football
one?
field.
Okay.
I mean, that was incredible. And I've watched him in like Mistresses and like other shows. And I never felt like I saw that kind of acting coming from him. And I was honestly really impressed.
Yeah.
I think this whole episode, like, I get where you guys are coming from. I think most of my tears came from the interaction between Kevin and Jack. Whenever the two of them were together, I think that's where most of my upset crying came from, was the dynamic between the two of them. I'm trying to justify here.
Right.
All right. But I do agree that, like, this is the most range I've ever seen from Justin. I think he's always had the capability, but I don't think he's ever gotten the roles to really execute that. And I think that's even indicative of Kevin. If you really think about it, he's really, like, he keeps saying, I keep catching all these breaks when I shouldn't be getting them. But I think a lot of it has to do with, like, how much value we put into vanity on these people. And the character they've always cast for all of them is very good looking. And I feel like a lot of times people that are just handed everything automatically, we don't really ever know what they're going through. If some of them do love it, I'm sure. But there's also people out there that are very much like Kevin, I think.
Yeah, like at the school when he gave that speech and they were still applauding and he was just like, y'all don't get it. Like, something is wrong here. All you see is the beard. All you see is the celebrity. All you see is this. All you see is that. I'm a person. I have feelings. I have emotions. I go through things. And that's true. It's very indicative of how we are as people, as a society. We'll see the glitz and the glamour and not realize that there's something behind it.
And they don't listen to him. I think the only person, and I think that's why it was so significant that it was Kevin and Jack, is that he's the only person that really saw him for who he was. Like, there were moments that he was very disappointed with him. He was, like, angry at him. There was so much, like, dynamic interaction between the two of them when no one else is actually seeing him as a person. They're seeing the outside. They're seeing this, like, star, this everything. He's, like, got all the girls. He's got all the moves. He's got all of it. But they're not actually, like, listening to him.
I think the two parts that killed me the most was the first scene was after the coach had left, and he's like, I've never been more embarrassed. And he looks at Jack, his dad, and says, I know the feeling.
Oh, God.
And I couldn't believe he talked to his dad like that, because all his dad was just saying is, this poor guy took time out of his life and his schedule to come give you an opportunity, C+ student, and give you a full ride. He just was demanding that he respected him. He's like, you don't have to go there. If you don't want to go there, that's fine. And then the second scene was when he was crying on the lawn. And I remember thinking to myself, he's not getting that necklace back. You bounced. And he's crying. Like, he's on his knees. He's like, please, someone help me. And it's just sad because what he represents in his character, and I like, is they kind of come to every person full circle. Is everyone looks at somebody that might be like a better looking person or like an actor or have the dream job, dream life, and be like, well, what problem does this person have? They have everything. That doesn't change insecurities. It doesn't matter how you look, how much money you have, how you were raised. There's people that have insecurities in them that stem from childhood, as you can see in his case. And he is just a perfect example. And he actually doesn't think he deserves any of the things he gets.
Yeah.
He's a self-sabotager. And it's just so sad. He's like on the lawn. I'm like, please, somebody go, like, help him. Give him his dad's necklace.
Well, he's been drowning in the pressure. Number one, like, as soon as you come out of the womb, it's like, how do I live up to this, like, standard that you've automatically placed onto me?
Yeah, and I think that's a part of the process too. But going back and like looking at him as a whole, I think there is this idea of like, you know, pretty privilege. You hear that from time to time about people who are good looking and who still feel that, you know, life for me is just as hard as the next person because I have my own battles, I have my own insecurities, I have all these hurdles and things to overcome. And so I feel like in the episode, especially in the beginning, we got to see a lot of that with younger Kevin, like how he was just
such a punk.
Right.
Yeah.
Like,
Such a punk.
was your word for him today.
I know, that's I almost
you
said
kept
it.
saying.
Yeah, she's like, he's a punk. But he really was. And, you know, the lack of respect he had for other people. And then we got to see into kind of almost like a resentment towards Jack for being a alcoholic. You know, I think because that made him view, like, his dad as less of a hero. I don't know what it was, but I feel that a lot of his interaction and treating him the way that he did is because realizing and seeing that he was an alcoholic made him feel or think like lesser of Jack. And I think he had to deal with that too, especially when he got to the point where we see this injury. But what I liked most is kind of the streamline of the episode, because it was all a bit of a stream of consciousness for him. And from the time we got to really see him in the drugstore and he realized the pendant, from that moment, everything just took off. And I feel like as an acting standpoint, it took the episode exactly where they wanted it to go.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was the shit.
Going off of that too, with him viewing his father that way, I think also at that age, it's a pretty privilege of where, yes, okay, great, everything's perfect. Like, I have the perfect life. But if someone actually opened this door of my house, they'll realize how unperfect it is. And I think it's that fear of, like, even when he said, can you get his book off the table? Like, why is this book on the table? And she's like, it takes as long as it takes. Well, it's been about this long. Like, let's get it over with. And even grown-up Kevin, he's the same way. He's like, this should be over with. Like, I should be dealing with this. It should be done. Like, I think a lot of it has to, as much as he doesn't want the vanity and want someone to listen to him and hear him, I think he also relishes in it as well. He wants to make sure that everyone thinks that his life is still perfect, that he fits within that, because if not, everything's not okay.
Going back to that scene between Jack and Kevin and younger Kevin in the kitchen, Jazz in the chat is saying Milo did a great job with that. It seemed like he was struggling to keep from smacking him. That's all I thought. I was like, if this was any other kind of show, Jack might have swung on him. Yep, because he's getting too big for his britches where he thinks he can talk back.
Right.
And that's when parents a lot of times will kind of cut you down to size and be like, remember, I'm the parent here.
Exactly.
No matter what I'm going through, I'm still, as long as you live under my house, quote unquote, that type thing.
Yeah, and there still was a little bit of that because he kind of knew his boundaries. Remember when Jack was challenging him, like, do you have something that you want to say with me? Nope, of course not.
But he knew he did, because he eventually said something.
Right, true.
And on top of it, I mean, Jack is still dealing with his own demons. He's dealing with alcoholism and trying not to get angry and trying not to do this. So I think not only was he struggling not to smack him, but also he's like struggling to keep his cool and to remember the steps. And we even catch Kevin just watching Jack. And I think that's when I like really broke down too, was like when Kevin has this realization. I think we talked about this a couple weeks ago, when you finally figure out your parents are real and they're human beings. I think that was his moment for his dad, of actually seeing him just like having to call someone and just break down, and like him doing that prayer and holding that necklace was just like, I think, most beautiful scene.
I think also too, he's turned into his father. He's suffering from alcoholism and addiction. And with Kevin, I for sure feel like there's a sense in him that regrets the way he spoke to his father and treated his father, because we see shortly after, at least from what the coach was saying at the award ceremony, that shortly after his dad pretty much dies. Say that 3.5 years of being in football, they're like, he gets in an accident, and then the coach says, then he loses his father. So it's coming up, and he was a punk. I mean, that's our favorite word to call him, but my favorite. You guys heard me over those headphones. I was like, what a punk. But yeah, he's suffering from the same problems as his father, and I think now he sees in retrospect that it's not something his father could control, that when you're in that weak of a place and you don't know how else to deal with something, that's what you resort to. So I think he also has a lot of guilt for how things ended with his father.
And even in that monologue, that beautiful monologue on the football field, where he says, you know, I just get knocked down, and then on top of it, I get right back up just in time to bury my father. Because remember the scene where we see Kate and Randall sitting on the couch, and she says, we need to go find Kevin. We see Kevin in crutches with the cast on with Sophie. So like, we realize that it's coming up in the timeline.
Okay, can we talk about Sophie real quick, and the girl that called Kevin? And we all thought at the end of the, I thought
you need to stop saying we here.
Okay, I thought, I was like, this is the all-time low. Please tell me the show is not going there, that Kevin is going to hook up with I mean, she's underage, right? She's a high school student.
Or she could be
like a counselor.
an employee, of the school.
I don't think she's
They were for
old enough to
sure
be an
setting it
employee.
up that he was gonna hook up with her, or it looked like it because she looked like Sophie, and then she comes onto the field. You want an after party, and then it's the bed scene, and I'm looking at Keith, and I'm
You see
like,
the arm, we're like-
and I was like this. I'm like, I told you, and he's like looking at me like, oh hell
I was
no.
like,
And then it ends up being the girl.
Are they really? Yeah, I
mean,
knew
this
they
is
weren't
us.
gonna
We'll push
take
the
it.
envelope, but not that.
But
not
right,
that
that's
far.
just too too much.
Well, she
Kevin
might
had to
not
do
be
with a lot.
underage. She might just be like a counselor or something there.
Well, I'm glad they didn't. I didn't feel like it was.
It's time
necessary.
sensitive right now.
Yeah.
But we did get to see a part of kind of the illusion of celebrity, right? Because even when he tried to give the speech, I think a lot of the times you don't buy into it because people kind of like this faux like humility. And so they weren't taking him at his words, but he's like super serious. And then we got to see an old girl, was it Charlotte? Was that her name? Who was just here to, you know, my high school. I wanted you then, I want him now. And I felt so bad because he would, you know.
She took advantage though.
She did.
She knew
I
he
don't
was
feel bad
sweating.
for her at all.
No,
She
I
knew
feel
he was in
bad
a
for,
bad
for
place.
him.
Yeah.
Just because to have somebody like be talking to you and then realize like, oh wow, like you're just like everybody else.
Like if you're gonna be a human being and like try and listen to someone, listen. Don't
Yeah.
try and get something out of it. Like that made me so angry. Like that she did that. And on top of it, I'm sorry, girl. If I was him, I would have walked out on you too.
Right. Then you got the nerve to be upset because
You got what you asked for.
Yeah.
You
She's like,
literally
she
got
didn't know
what
her
you
name.
asked for.
She was jumping out of bed like Martha Stewart, like, let me go get some snacks for you. I was like,
this ain't no date.
he's bouncing.
and you weren't looking for a date either earlier, were you?
Right.
No, you were not. You were trying to.
If you guys noticed, the way they were kind of setting it up was she first gives him her nasty red wine, and then she even sees, like, she notices that he's grabbing the wine, drinking the wine, he's drinking out of the bottle. It's actually the opposite. It's like the guy, you know, like they always make it seem like the guy is watching the girl get drunk, and then she's so offended that he got up and left. You know,
I mean, how can you be offended? You literally, like, I'm sorry, when it comes to double standard, like, if you're gonna tit for tat here, like, if you're gonna do that, then he can leave you.
Right.
Like, I'm sorry.
and she knows he's not in a good place. He's crying on her lawn.
Yeah, and
Like,
he didn't. He left her once already.
Right.
And he comes back.
And
Yeah.
she's
She's
just like, yes.
Sure.
So,
No.
come on.
She wants what she can't have, girl.
Get out.
Listen, Aaliyah in the chat is, I guess, I'm the only one who didn't have a problem with Charlotte just wanting to get some. I don't have a problem with that either,
No,
but don't
no,
try
no.
to turn back around and act like.
And be offended.
Right.
I'm
No,
all about
yeah.
female empowerment. If you want to get, like, girl, you do you, and you can do whatever you want. Like, if you want to go after and, like, have a one night stand with the guy, kudos. But at the same time, if you're trying to use this guy that is in pain, that is drunk, you cannot get mad at him for treating you the exact same way you treated him.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah.
I don't think. I'm not sure if Aaliyah's just talking generally, but that's
Oh, yes.
exactly what we're
Yeah.
saying. Is there's nothing wrong with what she did,
Right.
Right.
And I was actually saying, and that's the example I was giving. If the tables were turned and a guy saw that a girl was getting drunk and was like promoting it and grabbing the bottle, giving it back, don't be upset when that's what you get, is the guy getting up and bouncing on you. But it's not even like he bounced, he stole your prescription pad.
Well, she didn't know.
Yeah, that's true. She
And I
doesn't
knew that
know.
was going to happen. I had a feeling because she's a doctor. Like, they laid that breadcrumb down. And,
Right.
of course, he goes through a medicine cabinet, which me and Keith were like, that's so
All that
loud.
noise.
Like, no kind of running
Ain't no
water or
like
anything.
showers or nothing.
Nothing.
Take a shower.
It's just-
It was so
Can I just use
loud.
your bathroom for a
I'm
second?
just
or shower?
happy that it was Charlotte and not the young girl from school.
Oh my
Yeah.
Oh God.
Definitely.
I didn't expect him to steal the prescription pad. I
You
was
didn't
like,
think
oh
so?
gosh, this is like a lot. I knew that it wasn't gonna transpire.
I mean, he's far gone to the point to where, like, when
Yeah.
you're breaking down like that, you have no hope. Like, literally none.
Now, I
Yeah.
do want to say that I thought when they were in the drugstore, I thought he was going to get arrested. Like, I thought that was
Yeah.
going to be
He was suspicious. He was
his
running
The
out.
fall down point.
Yeah.
I thought I was like, this is the telling time. I didn't know if he was going to get arrested. I figured if he turned in the prescription, that was when he was going to get arrested. I knew it was either like, you see the cops, are you going to leave and like wait till you get to LA, which would be the smarter thing. Wait till you're not in the
And
town
then
that
try
everyone
it.
knows that
Man.
woman. But like,
By the way, I do not think this is the end of Sophie. Like,
No, I don't
while
think-
he's
Oh, no.
on the influence of liquor and drugs, it's all he thought about.
That's true.
But if she takes him back this time, I don't know what to tell you guys, because third time is not the charm.
I don't know whether she will. I can't say either way. I have no idea.
I hope not. I feel that there will be some kind of friendship. I think that he thought of her because, of course, she is all that he knows, in a sense, but also because a lot of the behavior, even towards her, is a result of him being,
But I think he genuinely loves her. I don't think it's just them growing up together.
Yeah, I think that he loves her for sure. And I'm interested in seeing when we'll get to see, like, his redemption, I guess, because right off of this, we're going into, Kate's experience. I'm just like, wow, Kevin, as a child, as a teen, as an adult, he really, he's got to the point where he always is going to call on Randall. And he wants to, I need help. Let me get my help. And then it's another bomb dropped on you. When do you get the chance to really, like, deal with your own stuff?
Yeah. Laura in the chat is saying Sophie will probably be there for him when he finally hits rock bottom. So Laura, just to clarify, you don't think he's hit rock bottom, and I'm asking the three of you that as well.
I don't think he has either.
I think he's getting there. I don't think he has yet, but I think his sister having a miscarriage is a huge
wake up call
because he had associated her being pregnant with progressing in life, and he hadn't progressed, which is why he wanted to go rush and ask Sophie to marry him.
Right.
And now it's like he starts having the downfall. I feel like this is like the start of his downfall, and then he sees that his sister also has a miscarriage, and he was so happy for her. She's getting married and she's having a baby, and I think it's going to be a little bit of a reality check for him, like, grow up.
Yeah. I think as for the Sophie thing, like, to be honest, as much, I have no idea what they're going to do with this, but I think, too, that Sophie's an amazing person. I don't think that she is the person that he needs.
I agree.
Because
he needs Candace.
Yes, exactly. Yes, he does. No, I think she is a memory, and everything that his life was. Everything that he had, all of his struggles, all of his triumphs, his father's death, everything is all weighing on Sophie. And that's not a fair burden to her to hold, because that's not something that she ever asked for. She didn't ask for those burdens, but she was the person that was there through all of it. And I don't think that when you go into recovery, if that is everything that you're placing on this person, that it's good for either of them. I think that that's going to be horrible for her, because that's a burden and like a pressure that she's going to be willing to take on because she loves him. But, like, I don't think that she needs to be having that. And then I also don't think it's good for him for progress to get anywhere, because they're not a Jack and Rebecca.
Yes, they
and
are.
that's what I was going to ask. I was going to ask about
I don't think they are.
The tie between Jack and Rebecca. Don't you think it's the same burdens that Jack put on Rebecca?
Yes, but at the same time, I think their relationship was stronger, and it always been stronger. I think theirs was very honesty. Surface.
Yeah, and it's less, their relationship is stronger, they're married, all of that. And it's less of like, I feel like theirs is more a codependency for him, because in a lot of ways, like, she has to be the burden of all of his experience, but Sophie too is just kind of like a safety net. She is what he knows. She is that comfort that'll always get him through the next hurdle. So I think it'll be important to see them apart and then maybe bring them back together, but I don't see their relationship tied in with the other couples.
Like a good, healthy love. I don't think that this one's healthy on either part, to be honest.
You guys, didn't Toby call Kevin?
Yeah.
And he didn't pick up during the ceremony.
I knew automatically that was what was the news.
And I was even wondering, why would Toby be calling Kevin? That just literally popped in my head right now.
Did no one catch me say,
because I'm like, why would Randall find out before her? I mean, not
before him, before Kevin.
Yeah.
That's true. I didn't know why. I know he had referenced like, oh, you don't have to call me every 5 minutes.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
And then I thought, okay, well, now she's just getting Toby because they have this little bromance situation. But then it was like, oh God, this is it.
No, as soon as Toby called, like, I was like, it's Toby calling. It's not Kate calling. It's Toby. Like, there's something happening.
I did the same thing, too.
I just thought he was calling because Kate's like, well, he won't pick up my call. You try.
Right.
Type
I
of
was
thing.
thinking that as well.
I'd be like, Toby be like, mind your own, keep me out of this.
What
like,
show
I don't
are we watching? Hello. They hand it to you.
Well, we just try to, suspend some of that disbelief and but Candace was so in tune. I don't know if it was the tears, but watching her cry, you guys, was just because she would hear it and she would know it's coming, and so she would anticipate it, and then her body would respond. So it's just like,
why did you tell us how
it was? Happen, and then she's crying, and you're looking over and you're looking at the TV, and you're just like, She's still crying. I was like, oh my God, this is a lot for her.
You guys, when are we gonna find out how Jack died?
I'm so glad that we progressed past that, though. We know we won't find out for a while.
Maybe you forgot. I didn't forget.
No,
I want to know.
I didn't say I forgot.
We keep using we.
I said I'm glad that we as a show, the show has progressed past just focusing on why Jack dies. I think we won't see it for a little while now, especially because we still got we got these big 3 episodes, which I think was a really good idea.
I love it. Someone's making a really good point. No one, including Randall, noticed anything was wrong with Kevin. Kevin is probably not going to get any help till he hits complete bottom. I agree with that. Like, it's sad that even your siblings that have grown up with you all your life have this idea of who you are and what you are and don't even catch on. Randall literally said, "What's the beard for? A movie?"
That was the consistent question throughout the entire. When he was in the airport, what's the beard for? A movie? Kelly, the girl at the school, what's the beard for? A movie? Everybody was asking him that.
Because no one cares about him as a person.
But they disregard the red eyes, the puffy under eyes, the fact that his beard's not even trimmed properly.
Everything
else.
The
fact that he's sweating profusely. Like, no one notices all the other signs.
He's sweating like, hello?
Actually, Charlotte did.
She
said your glands are huge. She just didn't care. She wanted to get...
That's the doctor in her, though.
Right.
Yeah, but
she was not recognizing a person.
Well, true.
She didn't care.
Yeah.
And it's post, so sweating that much. Good night.
But to Erica's point, that is the doctor in her, as far as that, trained skill, is not me recognizing you as a person. It's a muscle memory type of thing. But I think it does go to show just how overlooked Kevin always is and always has been. And what really sucks is because it takes a lot to get to the point where you really want to tell your truth, whatever it is, to anybody. And so for him to get to that point to say, there's something I got to tell you, and to have it taken away from him. It's just like, oh God.
I think it was so as much as I hated this episode, just in the fact of my tears, I loved this episode. I hated it because it hurt so much. But I think this is what I've always wanted from Kevin, it makes it, all of the season now makes sense, because this poor guy, literally, what else do you have to live off of if you've only had this given to you? Well, I guess if only people are going to see me for what I am. Like, even his breakdown with the Manny at the very beginning, it was like, someone see me. Someone see me for me as a person and for the talent that I have, or the talent that I don't have. And even when he got the play, he got it because he was on the TV show. He's like, no one takes me seriously.
Yeah.
And you guys, I think another thing everyone forgets is he did turn to Randall, but he was there for Randall when Randall had his breakdown. If you guys remember, Kevin left in the middle of his show to go run to Randall's rescue. And I feel like maybe there's a part of Kevin that realizes the mistakes that he made in the relationship with his father. He can kind of make up for that. Obviously, you can't correct it. His father passed away. But through his relationship with Randall, because I've really seen Kevin make a huge effort with Randall, with his family, with his kids, even with the foster daughter. So I feel like Kevin turning to Randall is kind of like turning to his father, in a sense of that kind of misunderstanding. I mean, he's not going to turn to Kate. He knows she's pregnant. He knows she's newly engaged, and she is concerned about her type of pregnancy. So I don't think he was going to go to her with, hey, by the way.
Plus, they're also in the same town. Like, he's the closest sibling at the same time, too.
And they have a closeness. I feel like it's more about the relationship that he has with his brother. And it shows that even through whatever, on the surface level you expect, like, at the end of the day, they do have a relationship. And I really like the scene coming out of the hospital with him in the wheelchair, with the family, where he, like, daps Randall up.
We are here?
Yeah.
Because that's what I was thinking of. Okay.
You guys are excited about a handshake between brothers.
Because generally what we always see is him and Kate embrace. We never see it with Randall. And I think they did that intentionally, because wasn't that right before Randall opens the door and Kevin's standing there? That was done I think, anyway, that was done intentionally to show that there is some sort of bond.
Connection,
and I think it was also showing that Kevin's now humbled. Like, he even said, oh, maybe I won't go to Notre Dame. Maybe I will go to the other school. I wrote a note to the coach like you asked me to. I sent it. It was also a symbolism of him apologizing to his father, saying maybe I will go to that university that gave me the opportunity. I will get back on my feet. And then just immediately, because even before Randall looks at Kevin, I feel like they show Kevin kind of looking out to Randall. And I really feel like this cast or the situation with his leg humbled him. Otherwise, before they thought he was a superstar, he's like, I'm going to Notre Dame. I'm going to be what is it, a quarterback? The one that throws the ball?
Yeah, a quarterback. I don't think that he was humbled, though. I think that was just in the moment.
Fear.
Like, I want this so badly that I will do anything. I'll change. I'm sorry. I'm rah, rah, rah. Because as he grows up, we see, you know, who he is.
Let's give him 10% of the... Okay. Let's give him 10%
okay.
humbling.
There's one thing I did want to mention, and this is like a little like far off, but when he was having his breakdown on the lawn about that necklace, all I can think of is... Jack told him the significance of that necklace, right? It kept him safe and gave him strength and like to go forward. And I think it was so indicative of the fact that he lost that necklace and he realized it right before he gave the prescription.
For sure.
The fact that he figured that out, didn't give the prescription and go, and it's his breakdown, and even if he doesn't get that necklace back, I think it served its purpose, because maybe this is like his breakdown may not be completely rock bottom, but it's giving him a direction to get somewhere else. That realizing that his life is going in a direction that needs to be diverted and he needs to figure it out. But the fact that he lost it and finally took it in and acknowledged it, I don't think he ever appreciated the necklace until that moment.
And he might associate it with why he's been able to get back up and overcome everything. And it could just be a psychological thing. Like, everything in the universe is energy, even if it's not really something doing something, just you having the thought that it makes a difference in your life. So now that he doesn't have it, he might start thinking, oh shit, everything in my life's gonna go wrong. I'm not gonna get back on my feet because my necklace is gone.
Yeah, and
she has that damn necklace.
I don't think that she has it.
No, but it's on the floor somewhere.
Yeah, it's got to be somewhere. I hope he does
How
get
evil
it
could
back.
you be to not see a guy crying and literally saying that's all I have left of your dad?
She might use it as a
you're
tool.
not gonna
Whoever
treat
knows.
me
I don't care.
Well, I think with the necklace, I do think it serves his purpose, and like you guys are saying, I think that it does give him like, you know, that boost, that encouragement. Because even think of the things that Jack said to him as he was giving it to him, like, you are my number one, you are my purpose, and this is going to help
Candace,
you find
don't do
yours. Like, I had to
stop
write.
it. She's about to start crying.
That's what got me. I was like, I had to write that down, like, to hear that, like, to hear that from your father and whatever, you know, having like a drifted relationship. And I know that, you know, the necklace is such a huge representation of his father to him, and having those words be poured into him, I think that does give him a confidence. And without it, he's for sure going to be...
You all can take it from here.
Stop it. Did you guys see that? I missed that whole point. Laura on the chat saying that the necklace is likely from Jack's brother. He said that someone gave it to him in Vietnam.
That. I was trying
that went over my head.
Me and Candace, I was trying to make eyes with her, and she was giving me a nod, but then
you saw the tears, and then
she went back into the tears, because I was like, oh, it was his, and she was like, in the waterworks. So I was like, wow, yeah.
Girl, on your wedding day, you're gonna be a hot mess. I hope your makeup artist is there with you, because she's gonna be like, dearly beloved. She'll be like,
I can't.
I think it's in
You
that.
just need to be there with the Kleenex.
I think it's in that bag. I'm just gonna go in a totally different direction.
I hope
Because
so.
where did that bag come from?
what bag?
What?
He was
had
holding
his
that
duffel
bag.
Yeah, where did that bag come from?
But
I think
he
he's
said
gonna
she ripped
find
it
it.
off. Remember?
No, I don't think she ripped it off. I think he just noticed that it wasn't there because he went
he
to comfort.
concluded.
He went
And
to
it's-
hold it for comfort.
And it's one of
it
those.
wasn't there.
It's not a saint necklace, but I always know that like those saint necklaces, they always find a way of coming back to you.
Yeah,
So I'm
and
gonna
that's what
hope
I'm
for
saying.
that.
I think
Yeah.
he's gonna find it at the right moment. Like, I think it's gonna come back. I think we're gonna
please,
see it again.
writers,
But I
can you
think he's gonna
please?
like be looking through his bag or something.
Yeah,
and it's
and
gonna
it
be
show up.
Or
like,
Charlotte's
tucked
gonna
into
be
a
like, if
pocket.
you want your necklace back, you gotta take me on a date.
I think this is the last we've seen of Charlotte.
Oh,
Thank
yeah.
God.
She's done.
Thank God.
She's-
Bye. Oh,
Bye, Felicia.
Oh, thanks, Aaliyah. She's feeling for me. I'm sorry.
Oh my God.
Someone was
We're
asking.
not going through this next week.
I
We
think
are going
we
through
are.
this next week.
I'm sorry. It's gonna be worse.
I got
next week.
teary
Y'all are gonna-
watching that preview.
Yeah.
I did too, and I saw a tweet from Dan Fogelman, who's like a big writer of the show. He
He's
said,
a creator.
"Oh, excuse me.
Biggest.
Okay." He said,
Don't-
well,
Erica,
just to spit out the tweet. So he said, "RE, that spoil alert. We didn't want it to happen to them, but we're trying to capture real life, and it happens a lot. Next week is a difficult, ultimately life-affirming episode about love and family. We hope you'll watch it and talk about it. Not enough people do." So,
and I think that that's even exactly what we were saying when we were talking about Miscarriage. I said they have more of an opportunity to reach really out to people
and transcend.
Yeah, because we don't like going into that topic and preparing us for next week. I feel like there's so many women that there's a stigma about it, that we don't get to talk about it. Like majority of the women in people's lives have probably had a miscarriage.
Yeah, I know a lot of girls that have.
Majority of women do. It's like the numbers, I don't know the exact numbers, but I know that it's a very high percentage of women at least have one within their lifetime. And it's not uncommon, but yet we don't feel comfortable enough to talk about it. Like, you're even supposed to wait till you're 3 months pregnant to tell anybody for that fact, because it's so common, and it's so sad that that is a thing. But I feel like there's such an opportunity with this show to be able to like reach out to those people that are dealing with these issues and really give them a platform to like voice out, hey, I did have one, or be a support to other women, and they can like talk about it. I just think that it's an amazing opportunity that they're doing, like he said.
I agree. I think it's a huge opportunity for sure to talk about that, and even to look at like the totality, like the strength of like a woman and what comes with childbirth. Granted, miscarriages or having a baby. What's crazy is before the episode started, we were talking about, you know, childbirth and, you know, seeing a child be born. And so it's going to be a lot. I think next week is going to be...
And a trying time for that couple.
I will tell you right now, going back to what Candace said, yes, there's a lot of women that have gone through that, especially if you're not stopping at one kid, and oftentimes it could be your first kid. And the scene where Kate looks at Toby and says, yes, the miscarriage is your too, but it didn't happen to you, it happened to me. It's something that, at least the women that I know have gone through it, it feels like it's a failure, that they did something wrong, when it's absolutely not something that they did. No. And even though it's unfortunate that she had to go through a miscarriage, I love the fact that next week's episode is focused on that, because as a woman, you're not supposed to talk about being pregnant till after the first trimester. So then it's like, you don't talk about it. And then what are you going to tell people if you do have a miscarriage? Oh, I was pregnant, but likely you keep it to yourself. And when you keep that guilt and that emotion and that energy inside of you, it eats a lot of people up. It's oftentimes a reason why people get divorced is because they can't handle the grief from something like that. So I love that they're emphasizing it next week, and they're going to show it from like a female's perspective, talking about what she is going through and what you are experiencing in your body.
And I think it's even a stigma is if you do speak out about it and you say, hey, I had a miscarriage, like people expect you to voice it for a couple of days and be over it. They're like, I mean, this happened a couple months ago. Why aren't you over it yet? And I think it's because we like...
It's a difficult thing to...
No one knows how to comprehend or what to do with it. And I think on top of that, with dealing with the miscarriage issue, they're also dealing with the obesity issue and being older and having... Like, she's got so many strikes against her with this whole pregnancy, and I think that it's amazing that they are addressing it, because there are a lot of women that go through that.
And it could be neither, by the way.
It could be,
and I'll say a couple things. I just now thinking back to the episode, I think that they also dropped a breadcrumb about Kate miscarrying when Kevin mentioned to Charlotte that Kate was pregnant. And he was like, oh wait, I wasn't supposed to say that.
Yeah.
Don't tell her. Like, when is Charlotte going to talk to her?
Don't tweet it.
Yeah, don't talk about it. So I think we didn't realize it, but they were laying the groundwork for that to happen. But also, I'm wondering, because we always hear about twins and like telepathy and things like that. Like, sometimes if a twin gets hurt, the other twin can feel it. I don't know if you can attest to that, Keith.
Okay.
But I don't have a twin, girl.
I'm like, did Erica's twin feel that? Oh, you have a twin.
I do have a twin.
Text him right now. Ask him if he felt it.
The way it works for me is, because we are fraternal as well, it's not going to be something as easy as that. But if something is going on, if something like is going on, there is like this draw. There is this connection where I will instinctively
you feel something tell that some things. So, maybe like last season when Kate was on the plane and Kevin woke up in the middle of the night. I don't know if I'm remembering that right. But I'm wondering if maybe her miscarriage might have something to do with that. Like there's energy around it. So in addition to her weight and her age, I'm saying maybe there was some other kind of
stresses
force.
And then to just add on to that is her being in a relationship and getting married, and you know, I've had friends who are married or who've been in a position that where they can't have children, and have expressed just how the biggest thing I want to give my husband is a child. And so, you know, granted, sure, maybe she can have a child in the future, but like she was saying, it happened to me. Like, to have to face that and the weight of that, it's a lot. Next week is going to be...
I definitely don't like how much they were hinting that she's going to have a miscarriage. I don't know if we were just looking for it.
Yeah.
You know when you're looking for something, you find the signs?
Were they really hinting on it that much?
I think it was more of
us.
An audience member. Yeah, our response.
Maybe we're just
to it.
psycho.
Or psychic.
She's still saying we.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, right?
You said it too.
Well,
You
you said it.
did say it. You did say it. Don't take it back.
What I was going to say,
we all said.
Jazz in the chat, and I agreeing with what you've been saying for a couple episodes now, Candace. Hopefully Rebecca will be able to help her. She too lost a child.
Right.
And some of us have been saying that.
That would be
a few
amazing
episodes
For
ago.
them to have this moment.
I think that it would be, I feel like it could either be amazing for their relationship or a horrible
It's going to
thing.
bring them together.
Because I hope, because the other way I can see is that, I mean, Kate's already like got animosity towards her mom because she gets everything. She's pretty. She's da-da-da-da. She's going to be like, well, you had children. It was so easy for you, blah, blah, blah. Or it could be the other way of like, I lost a child too. I'm here for you.
Yeah.
So I feel like it could go either way. I'm hoping that it goes that way.
I think after having something as big as that, they got to give us some cushion and like smooth this out.
Put everything.
They're hitting us hard next week
It's
too.
holiday season. I mean, coming off of that, I think they're going to bring the family together.
Yeah, we're going into Thanksgiving week next, guys. Next week.
I cannot believe it's Thanksgiving next week. Where does time go?
The year is gone. Like, this year is about to be over.
It's going to be 2018. Like, we're going to be here going, Happy New Year, guys.
Welcome back to This Is Us Part 2.
Okay.
Because they're doing a hiatus for a little bit over the holidays, correct?
Yeah, there's 18 episodes, so we still have, what was this, episode 7
This is
or
only
8?
like 8.
8, so we have 10 more
It's
episodes.
never
That's
going to
2.5
end.
months.
We'll be here forever.
Thank you, LS5251 in the chat. It reminded me that it was Kevin on the plane. And Kate woke up and said he's okay.
And one comment you did miss, I don't know if you I didn't mean to hold your hand. I didn't mean to try to,
We
but
love each other. It's fine.
we do.
You more like tap me and scratch me, less of like an embrace.
But in the chat, Erica, they were saying earlier, I can't remember who it was, but just shouting out how much they loved. Their favorite part was Teen Randall giving Kate the nickname LL Cool K.
So he was throwing out them jokes even back then.
Right.
He's always been like that.
Jokes.
Always corny.
Always,
Just
Randall.
It's so cute, though.
You know, touching back up, we were talking about how even when Kevin was trying to be real, people were still applauding him for being the Manny. It's a mild version of like what happened with Jim Carrey on the red carpet, where Jim Carrey,
thinking that.
and he was trying to be serious, and it's crazy because he's had follow-up interviews since where he's telling people like that he doesn't even want to make these jokes anymore because people don't take. He's being serious, like he's saying.
Believe me.
And actually, if you break it down for it was a red carpet. It wasn't like a sit-down interview. It wasn't an interview with Oprah or Ellen where those kind of things come out, but. It's what he felt in the moment, and honestly, I have so much respect for him, for someone that is such a talented actor, to finally come out and be like, all of this stuff doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like, the stuff that you guys are worried about, all this, like, it was so amazing, and he was getting so much flack for it. Like, oh, he's lost his mind. He must be crazy, where Kevin is saying the same thing. I mean, aside from Charlotte with her questionable
Decisions.
Yeah.
you know, she goes and she does work with helping like burn victims, and then I forgot what the other gentleman was doing. He's like, these are the people that you guys should be giving the awards to, not to me. I'm a guy that lost my mind on the set, and he didn't lose his mind. I feel like his breakdown on the Manny was kind of like the starting point of him actually
Having a realization.
becoming humanized. Like he's realizing his faults. He was realizing that he's not the shit anymore, and that he needs to. And I think it is his father's experience of what happened with his father's just replaying in his head over and over and over again. And that's why in the film, when it was brought up, why am I blanking on the guy's name from Rocky? Oh, Sylvester Stallone.
Yes.
When Sylvester, I can't believe I ever would forget. My dad would be so disappointed right now. But when he brought up his dad, remember she was so mad at Kate. He's like, "How dare you tell him about dad? Like, I'm trying to work. I don't want to think about my dad." Is because I feel like he's just suppressed his entire life.
Yeah.
Of actually accepting what happened to his dad.
Yeah.
Like, he knows his dad is dead, but he hasn't actually fully gone through it. It's like the person that goes through the breakup that you know you're broken up, but you haven't fully
Realized
felt
it.
the breakup.
Yep.
And I'm really hoping it doesn't get much worse for him, because it is just him holding on. And it's just someone said in the chat too, that's what happened with Jack. Jack was holding on to the grief from his brother, which is, I think, before we find out why Jack died, we're going to find out how Jack's brother died.
Yeah, I agree.
Which will explain his downfall, and then they're going to go into why Jack died. So, 4 seasons later, we'll find out.
Right.
Maybe.
What happened to Jack.
I think the Jim Carrey thing is so on point, and I literally thought that while I was watching it was... I think there's so many more actors, if we list them all, that have gone through things like this. And I'm sure there are other people of high influence that go through the same thing that Kevin is going through. And I think that, we don't need to take this issue lightly either, as much as we're like, oh, we need Kevin to have a struggle, we need him to have more depth. There's a lot of people out there that have this position of influence, but they're really not being seen.
Right.
They're not really being listened to, and they want to use their influence for the better, but no one really hears what they're saying. All they want is, you're so pretty, you're great, you just stay right there. We want you like this. This is what you're going to be. And look at, unfortunately, Robin Williams, who did amazing things of work and had depression and things like that. And then you have Heath Ledger, you have Jim Carrey that's trying to make a point. And these people that are really trying to do work, and people are making fun of him and not
lost his mind.
Taking him seriously.
Right.
Because we idolize these people so much that we put them up on this pedestal that we don't want them to come down. We want them to be perfect. We want them to be just like this. You have to stay here. That's where you're going to stay. We're going to live life down here.
And it's something that we do in general. You look beyond the celebrity, whether it's social media or Instagram. Perception is always going to be reality. Yeah. And so if you're not interested, if you don't see past that and just get the message or what people are saying, then you're just going to, relate it to however you see somebody else's life going. And the worst part about it for Kevin is, like you were saying, having suppressed these things for so long, when you do cry out, nobody's here to hear you.
Nobody gets it. But I think Kate has some... She's holding back too.
And even in comparing himself to his siblings. Randall has had so much success. Sorry. Kate's, like you were saying earlier, engaged, having a baby.
What does he have?
Yeah, he's like, what do I have? What do I have to present to the world?
Right.
I have a so-so career, acting-wise. Not the greatest brother. I'm codependent on seemingly everybody.
Cheated on Sophie 3 times.
I'm a terrible husband.
I was bad to my dad right before he passed away.
And that same comparison on that panel to receive the award. He's what was the guy?
He was a journalist in a dying field.
Yes, there you go.
There you go.
Come on, guys.
Right?
Hello.
And she's the doctor, so yeah.
But I do want to say, before, when I watched the preview for this last week, it was the one time I thought, I wish William was still here, because I think, of course, if Jack could be here, it would be great. But William knows what Kevin's going through.
And he'd be able to see it and recognize it.
Right, and he would just sit him down. He'd be like, come sit next to me. Let's have a talk.
I'm surprised Beth hasn't picked up on it. She's so keen on picking up on everything.
But she hasn't seen a lot.
But I don't
of
think people want to pick up on it. Come on. How many people have called him out on all this stuff and they don't want to pick up on it?
He's never been this bad, though.
And because, I'm gonna go off of that, what you just said, Lena. And because he acts like this regularly. Like he's detached often.
Yes.
So it's not really out of the ordinary for Kevin to just kind of be like, well, I got this going on.
Flip it, yeah.
There you go, flip it. So it's going to take something. Maybe, Kevin's going to be going through their medicine cabinet and Beth's going to see it and be like, boy, what?
What are you doing?
I mean, he was even drunk at the event. And wasn't Beth there? No, it was just Randall.
And I actually think someone mentioned on the chat that because his sister's having the miscarriage, it's going to put his breakdown on pause. I actually think it's going to further it. I don't think it's going to be the reason why he has his ultimate downfall, but he loves his sister. And I think he's going to start realizing, and he's going to feel another loss. And sometimes when someone close to you is feeling a loss, for Kate, it's going to probably bring up old feelings. Like she's going to realize she lost a baby. It's going to bring up some feelings that she has of her father, potentially bring up feelings that now Kevin has felt.
Yeah. Well, guys, I feel like we could totally go on for hours about this episode, and the next 2 episodes are going to be super full and a lot to talk about. So I know it's Thanksgiving next week, but we're still going to be here, and we're super excited to watch All About Kate.
Yes.
I'm going to have Kleenexes next week, I promise.
We have to. With the ones with the aloe.
Yes, with the aloe.
That's what we were talking about. I mentioned this a little bit last week. It would be great if anybody watching or listening could maybe like design us tissue boxes.
Yeah. Oh, cute.
Like,
and then put Candace, because she's going to be the one using all of them.
And let us know what tissue ranking you think it will be. Will it be 5? Will it be 4?
Yes.
Oh, we
really
love you
cheesy.
too, Aaliyah. You guys are awesome.
Yes, you guys are so amazing and so like interactive with us. We love you guys so much. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we will see you next week. Again, my name is Candace Cruz. You can find me on all of my social media at Candace R. Cruz.
Yes, always a pleasure. Keith Andre here, all over social media at Keith_Andre. She just wants to pick.
all he did was say his name.
No, I was actually laughing about Candace. I was going to say she should change her Twitter name to Crying Candace. You see?
Oh my God. Go.
I'm just kidding. I love Candace. I'm Lena Nori. You can find me all over the internet at Lena Nori.
And I'm Erica Shannon, and you can find me on Twitter at Miss Airy Baby.
Bye, guys.
Later.
Bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.